Okay, the headlines. I had the pleasure of speaking with Angus Rose in London about his efforts to bring the facts, the science behind the climate emergency to the MPs and to the public. And he does so by means of a hunger strike. We have the war, Russia, Ukraine. World leaders are looking for oil in areas where they really should not. Boris Johnson plans to increase oil and gas production in the North Sea, and he is insisting that he was not dropping the government's commitment to cut carbon emissions, which is a contradiction. Also, he is looking for nuclear power to cut Russian energy dependence. Not a fantastic idea either, in my opinion. In the US, major oil companies are leaving Russia, like Exxon, but demand for fossil fuels will not go away unless government takes action. As a matter of fact, there's quite a few articles. One here is saying that Ukraine war gives oil producers a greater clout at global climate talks. According to Bloomberg, Putin is saying that Russia will find new markets as the West rejects oil exports. And I suppose they mean India and China. Article from Al Jazeera, who is talking climate change now? Energy producers say that with the Russian invasion of Ukraine, boosting energy costs and reducing availability, proponents are pushing back against fossil fuel eradication. Well, a lot of people are actually talking climate change right now. There are global protests. There's a growing international movement. It's called Scientist Rebellion. They are calling on world leaders to end the burning of fossil fuels, and they were actually arrested as well after a protest. And they were saying, I feel terrified for humanity. Then we also have Extinction Rebellion back on the streets. Their activists are saying, if Greta can do it, then so can I. Also, Just Stop Oil, another activist group. They have been arrested atop of protest on an oil tanker in Essex. And in London, some go even further. We have a climate activist on hunger strike for 31 days already. That's 4.5 weeks outside the UK Houses of Parliament. His name is Angus Rose. He's originally from Durban, that's South Africa. Incredibly nice guy, has been in London for 24 years, is now putting his life at risk, having just water, tea, vitamins and black coffee. All he wants is a briefing for the MPs, for them to better understand the science behind the climate emergency. And this would then also have to be televised for the public. If you like this program, hit that button subscribe and hit that button like. Thank you. Now, Angus wants MPs and the public to receive the same presentation from top scientists that Boris Johnson had as well on the climate crisis. He has got already 79 scientists that are supporting his cause, including a former government chief scientific advisor. Now, I asked Angus a few questions about the briefing, about the fact that they might not give in, as this would create a precedent. Also, I asked him about the support behind his cause from the scientists, and they do say, however, we are not all in agreement with the tactic of a public hunger strike. Also, I asked him about his fear for the future of his young niece and nephews, but is he not setting a wrong example? What if they or Greta Thunberg or other young adults would do something similar and something serious would happen? They might get permanently damaged for life. And last but not least, I asked him about South Africa, a land of a lot of nature, and also climate change.
In early 2020, Boris Johnson had a briefing by the UK's Chief Scientific Advisor, Sir Patrick Vallance. So he was briefed on the climate crisis, so both risks and solutions. And that led to what Boris called his road to Damascus moment. So that was like a radical change in Boris's understanding of climate change. Before, he was an overt skeptic. He was writing these articles in the newspaper that was basically denying the science. And then afterwards, he was totally on board. And he gave this extraordinary speech on the eve of COP26. So it was so good to see. So all I'm asking for, my demand is as simple as that the same chief scientific advisor briefs both Parliament and the Cabinet and makes the briefing available to be televised to the public.
So to the public as well. Yep.
Yes, that's simple. I'm not asking for any changes to government policy, nor to any changes to the economy. It's as simple as a briefing that may be an hour or an hour and a half. Yes, so that's really important, very, very important. So there are now 79 eminent scientists. Most of them are professors, all but one are from the UK. And who leads that is Sir David King, the former chief scientific advisor. And so it's not just my voice about the demand. All 79 scientists also support this demand, which means for Greg Hands, who's the Minister of Energy, Clean Growth and Climate Change, who this hunger strike is putting a demand on, it's going to be really difficult for him to say that the briefing is unnecessary. So both the public, the government and the media won't have a standing to object to this demand.
What do you think about that?
So I think that's a really good point, Peter. So one of the big things is, well, if I can do this, will someone go on a hunger strike because they maybe oppose a certain level of immigration or something like that? But first of all, the likelihood that someone will go to this degree is very unlikely, prepared to die if the demand is not met. So I think it first of all filters out a lot of people. And secondly, I think because there's such a reasonable demand, if it was a demand to change government policy or to change the economy, I think I wouldn't win. I think I would be on something that I was going to lose, and I probably would die. But so the demand is really reasonable. So many people are speaking to the public and they're like, this is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Why hasn't it been done before? Why hasn't it done 20 years before? Yep. The other thing is I'm open to negotiation.
You are. Do you think you can set a wrong example here by doing what you did?
So yes,
are you afraid that kids might do this?
Yeah, there's a very good question. So yes, there is a risk that this may set a precedent. And the thing is, an adult, someone my age in particular, is a lot more able, in particular, to weather not just the physical risks, but the mental risks. Each of those are so important, right? So, so that's a really big concern. So I have had medical professionals who've given me advice, but I think this hunger strike is in proportion to the level of risk, and it's one of the few things, extreme things that one can do in a civilized society, one of the options that are open to one, that may be necessary to bring around an amount of change. So what I've got at disposal is my life. So my life may need to be sacrificed so that change can be brought about. So even if I die, it's maybe even in a way possibly more likely that we will see change where I'm asking for change. I was in South Africa. I thought I'd always live my life there, always wanted to stay there, and then I met an English girl and followed her over here, and suddenly I'm here. I'm like, okay, I've been here for 24 years. But what's happened since this week is that my home city in South Africa, it's seen devastation over the last this week, so kind of since Monday. There's been really bad rainfall since last Saturday, I think it was. But rainfall now, speaking to a friend who lives there, like never seen, like torrential. We're not talking slight rain, it's like torrential almost the whole day. And so now big sections of roadway, like big sections, like there down to there, are just disappeared.
Really, yeah?
And
that's Durban, right?
Yeah, Durban area. It's just like, I've never seen that. My friends have never seen that. Yeah, so I just think it's if I had other options open to me, I would use them. But because I want to live,
yeah.
I'm not on a suicide mission at all. I'd rather be in a pub with my friends having a pint.